The jury trial in this case shall begin on January 26th, 2026, where essentially they're going to say that Halligan was improperly appointed to her position by the Trump administration and therefore essentially does not have the power to bring this case.
Appointed in Senate confirmed to some other position or has been serving in that agency for 90 days, or through the interim process where someone gets to serve for 120 days. Lindsey Halligan meets none of those qualifications.
Attorney General James respectfully requests that the court issue an order. 1. Prohibiting further government extrajudicial disclosures of investigative and case materials and statements to the media and journalists concerning this case and any parties or witnesses. That's the part where they're like, yo, tell her to shut up. And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, today we're going to be talking about your girl. You already knew what I was going to say. Letitia James. Well, y'all, a lot is going on with Letitia James, and I'm going to make sure y'all are totally, almost 100% filled in. You know that last week she was in court pleading not guilty to the charges against her, including bank fraud. And now, as predicted, her side is launching a series of procedural attacks against the prosecution and against the prosecutor. So we're going to take a look at that today. There are a couple of things you're going to see here. One, they want the case to go away, right? They filed a motion to dismiss, which we predicted, but they also filed essentially a request that the judge tell the prosecutor, her name is Lindsey Halligan, that they want the judge to tell Miss Halligan to shut up, to gag her. They want the judge to gag the prosecutor, y'all. So we're going to get into that. And I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. They want the judge to tell the prosecutor to shut up. So I'm not going to do a long lead up, y'all. Let's just go ahead and hop right into it. But before we do, y'all, we have a new webpage for my people out there who are like, yo, I have money, but I don't want to give it away to the people who are trying to take it. How can I protect my retirement? Y'all, gold. How many times do I have to tell you? Gold has been man's longest monetary best friend for 5,000 years. I mean, what else are you looking for? Go to our webpage. Go to the new webpage, Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com. Get the information on how to protect your retirement. And you can call 844-651-8334 and speak to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Now let's go ahead and hop into this content. Now, the first thing that we see here is that there is a trial date already set, okay? So there's an order that the trial date is set as of right now. As of right now, the trial date is set. It says, in the interest of justice, the jury trial in this case shall begin on January 26th, 2026. Now, I would say that this is probably tentative at this moment. A lot can change in the next 2 to 3 months, right? But as of now, there is a trial date set. So let's continue, y'all. If Letitia James's side has their way, of course, this will never go to trial. She is trying to get the prosecutor removed from the case. And the basis for that is this motion, which they filed. Here it says Attorney General Letitia A. James's motion and memorandum in support of motion to dismiss the indictment and enjoin the prosecution. So here she is joining a motion by Comey, who is also under prosecution from the same office, from the same Miss Halligan. Okay. She's joining this motion where essentially they're going to say that Halligan was improperly appointed to her position by the Trump administration and therefore essentially does not have the power. She doesn't even have the actual legal power to bring this case.
But the appointment issue, I think, is a very strong argument. There are three ways a U.S. attorney can be appointed. One way is with Senate confirmation. Another way is through the Federal Vacancies Reform Act, which allows the appointment of somebody who's either been presidentially appointed and Senate confirmed to some other position or has been serving in that agency for 90 days, or through the interim process where someone gets to serve for 120 days. Lindsey Halligan meets none of those qualifications. They already had their go at the 120-day interim with Eric Siebert. And so because there is no path for appointment, I think there's a very strong argument here that Halligan's appointment is illegal. We're going to hear arguments about that in the Third Circuit Court of Appeals today regarding Alina Habba, and that may give us some insights. But of course, this case is pending in the Fourth Circuit as opposed to the Third Circuit, so we could see different outcomes there.
It says defendant Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York. Now, y'all, I noticed that here up above, y'all notice that it says here Attorney General Letitia James's motion. I think that's strategic. I think that they want to continue to remind the court that she is an Attorney General, and they are subtly, or maybe not so subtly, trying to signal to the court that they think this is retribution. That they think this is retribution, lawfare against Letitia James, okay? Defendant Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, submits this motion to dismiss the indictment in this case under Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 12B3A because the charges against her were brought by an individual who had no authority to litigate this case on behalf of the United States. Lindsey Halligan, the prosecutor who sought and obtained this indictment, was not lawfully appointed as interim United States attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. Her purported appointment violates 28 U.S.C. Section 546 and the Appointments Clause of the Constitution. So they are saying that her appointment, as it stands, is unconstitutional. Nor was Ms. Halligan authorized to represent the United States under any other title or designation. Ms. Halligan thus lacked the power to present this case to the grand jury or sign this indictment, and she cannot continue to supervise this prosecution. The defects in Ms. Halligan's appointment mandate dismissal of this indictment. First, this court lacks jurisdiction because no, quote, proper representative of the government, quote, had a role in obtaining the indictment. Second, even if this court were to possess jurisdiction, an officer's actions are null and void if her purported appointment violated the Appointments Clause. Y'all, again, this is the Constitution. They're not just saying that her appointment is like wrong or was done improperly, should have been two witnesses and there was only one witness. She should have signed over here, but she signed over there. No, this is saying that her entire appointment was against the Constitution. And third, because this indictment would not have been sought or obtained absent Ms. Halligan's unlawful appointment, the indictment's flaws cannot be brushed aside as harmless error. That's probably the key point, y'all. That's saying, look, if somebody else had looked at this file, they wouldn't even have pursued these charges. And as you will notice, we're not going to look at this, but I'll tell you, in the body of what they're going to argue here, they're going to say other prosecutors did look at these files and they decided not to go forward. So Ms. Halligan was a key component of this entire indictment. It's not like, oh, whoever it was, they would have gone forward. They're arguing here that Ms. Halligan is the only person who would go forward. Oh, and by the way, she was appointed unconstitutionally. So you need to dismiss this case. So that is currently under consideration by the court. And also for y'all who would be interested to know this, a very similar claim. There's a rapper who's set to go on trial soon named Lil Durk. And this is going to be another huge case, a United States federal case, U.S. versus Durk. And they have a very similar claim there that the prosecutor in that case also was not properly appointed and therefore the case must be dismissed. And my information is that is currently under consideration as well, but it's a different prosecutor. So imagine both of these get dismissed because the prosecutors were not properly appointed. That would be, in my opinion, huge. Now, finally, y'all, I told you that Letitia James's side is looking for the judge to tell Lindsey Halligan to shut it. To shut it. Okay, now what's this all about? You may have heard about this Signal communication. Signal is a messaging app, and there was communication between Lindsey Halligan and a journalist, and as a result of that, they tried to make a big deal out of it. I don't know how big of a deal it was. Okay.
As James Comey's attorneys are arguing that Lindsey Halligan was improperly appointed to her role, Trump's handpicked U.S. attorney in Virginia is attracting scrutiny for another reason. Lindsey Halligan reportedly spent some 33 hours on and off during a recent weekend texting with a reporter. Not in regards to Comey's case, but that of another one of the president's targets, New York Attorney General Letitia James. It was reporting on that case that kickstarted this back and forth that you're about to see. Let me explain. Anna Bauer is a senior editor for the nonprofit publication Lawfare. She recently posted about a New York Times story concerning the case that was being made against the New York Attorney General, and Halligan is the person, of course, who presented that case to the grand jury. Less than an hour after Bauer posted about it, Halligan messaged her directly on the encrypted app Signal that reporters often use. And according to Bauer, Lindsey Halligan wrote, quote, "Anna, Lindsey Halligan here. You're reporting things that are simply not true. Thought you should have a heads up." What followed that initial text was more than a day of text insisting that the reporting from the New York Times was inaccurate. Now, Bauer hadn't reported that, but because she had repeated it online, Halligan was going back and forth with her on the merits of that reporting.
The journalist was reporting on Letitia James and Lindsey Halligan. Lindsey Halligan responds, "Anna, you're biased. Your reporting isn't accurate. I'm the one handling the case, and I'm telling you that if you want to twist and torture the facts to fit your narrative, there's nothing I can do." So this was a whole back and forth, right? Where the United States attorney is going after a reporter because the reporter seems to be reporting things that are not correct, okay? It was a big story for about 2 days, and then it fell out of the headlines. But Letitia James and them, they took advantage of this to write a motion to the judge, and they say, "Judge, would you tell her to shut up?" Let me read. I'm just going to read this conclusion, because this conclusion is where they're going to ask the judge to do what they want the judge to do. "For the foregoing reasons," again, what are the reasons? The reasons are this back and forth between the U.S. attorney and this reporter, which Letitia James' side says is inappropriate. "For the foregoing reasons, Attorney General James," y'all notice how they keep calling her AG, right? "Attorney General James respectfully requests that the court issue an order. 1, prohibiting further government extrajudicial disclosures of investigative and case materials and statements to the media and journalists concerning this case and any parties or witnesses." That's the part where they're like, "Yo, tell her to shut up." And 2, requiring government counsel and agents in this case to obey all relevant federal laws regarding proper record retention, preserve all communication with any media person, journalist, or outlet, and take all reasonable steps to prevent the deletion or destruction of any records or communications having to do with the investigation and prosecution of this case. Oh, and there's a number 3. Number 3, directing government counsel to create and maintain a log of contacts, blah, blah, blah. So there you have it, y'all. They're asking the judge to tell Halligan that to gag her, basically. All right. So what do y'all think about that? I haven't heard her speak publicly, but they don't even want her to be able to speak to the press. So y'all let me know what you think about this. Do you think Letitia James gets the motion to dismiss? It is a fact. It is a true fact that Lindsey Halligan's appointment comes outside of this 120-day window. And the judge could very well just say, "Halligan, you were appointed outside of the of the time frame that's allotted. So you aren't even a real prosecutor. The judge could do that, y'all, and the judge would be well within his power to do that. So that would take this case and essentially it would be dismissed. It'd be over. It'd be done. It'd be a wrap. Okay. But the judge could also say, I see it differently, and say something else. So we're gonna be waiting for that, and of course, once that comes down, we'll let you know. Also, if the judge agrees to tell Halligan to shut up or whatever, we'll let you know about that too. Let me know what you think is gonna happen with these motions, y'all. Drop a comment down below, but before you do, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. To my people of retirement, go down, click that first link in the description, Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com. Protect your retirement from the upsies, downsies, roundsies, and roundsies, people. Also, you can reach out to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.
You know, we've talked about her a few times here, Alina Habba. And David, as we mentioned, the Third Circuit Court of Appeals is hearing arguments now in a case that argues that she, a former Trump attorney, was not lawfully appointed to serve in her new role. So what is the significance of this as it ties into looking at the way we're talking about Lindsey Halligan? Habba's sort of like 4 steps ahead in the legal process on are you appointed rightfully, lawfully or not?
I think it's not good news for Halligan that the rulings so far about Alina Habba have raised questions about how Trump has been appointing people. And the broader issue is the power of the president. A U.S. attorney across the country, there in every state, has to be approved by the Senate. It's a formal nomination process. It's a key thing, having their review and their consent. And that isn't happening with all these interim appointments. So, and the whole broad, one of the themes of the Trump presidency is increasing presidential power. So it's like so many other issues, this will end up with judges in the courts. So it is very important to see how the ruling is in the Habba case, because it will impact possibly the Comey case as well. Yeah. And just going back in history, one of the ways that the classified documents case was thrown out, this was back in Florida against the special counsel Jack Smith, was that the judge there ruled that Smith had been improperly appointed as a special counsel. So this may seem like a technicality to people, but these rulings can have an enormous impact on these cases.
Yeah, foundationally speaking. So